Alright, so shopping day. I'm in my local Aldi's, and I'll show you the stuff we need for this recipe we're doing. So the herb section is pretty good. I need to get some more pepper though, because I broke mine. So 49.50p per herb. You've got the ginger there, oregano, a bit of oregano, alright, coriander, chili flakes, chili powder, Chinese 5-spice, so pasta, 45p, minced beef, 5% fat I normally go for. You can get the bigger stuff, but I always get that. It's £5.9 for a kilogram, so like a bit of mature cheese with it. So it's £3.99 for 900 grams. Obviously you can get quite a few meals out of that. Chopped tomatoes, 37p a tin. Then we've got passata, which I use, which is 32p per carton. So for brown onions, 62p for a kilogram. Obviously get quite a few meals out of that. And mixed peppers, 92p per bag. You've got quite a few in there. Oranges, yellows, reds, greens. So plain flour, you're going to need to help thicken the sauce, 45p for 1.5 kilos. That again will last quite a while. And free range eggs, £1.50 for 12. For the cake. Hello everyone. Right, so the first meal I'm going to do is meatballs. Homemade meatballs. I've got all the ingredients here. I'll show you what I've got. Rough costs and stuff. And I should do a little walkthrough of how to do it. So we've got some fry light we're going to need for the sauce. Obviously minced beef. This was £4.99 I think for a kilogram. A couple of onions, small ones. Some Worcester sauce. A veggie stock cube and a beef ox cube. 1 red pepper. Tomato passata. Chopped tomatoes, some new pepper because I broke my other one, and some mixed herbs. You can always use oregano or whatever you like, I suppose. And also we've got some flour when we do the sauce. So, oh, the other thing I forgot was an egg. You need an egg as well, okay, for the help binding the meat together. Right. So what you're going to do is grab an onion. A little tip for when you're doing onions, stop your crying, is if you only take off a little bit off the base, just literally the hairy bit, and a little bit off the top, then that will help stop the onions affecting your eyes. Good tip that, especially if you're doing lots of onions. When I was young, I used to work in a Chinese shop, and the chef always would do big bags of onions all the time, and I was KPing, so I wasn't even cooking, and my eyes would be streaming and he'd be quite happy. But anyway, so what you're going to do, peel the onion, going to cut it in half, and then you're going to slice it really finely, so your roots at that end, going to slice it really fine, because this can be in part of the meat as well to help flavour it. So get it as fine as you can. You can always grate it, but that does make your eyes hurt. And then we're just going to slice it nice and finely. Like so. You only need half an onion for this bit. We'll use the other half for the sauce shortly. So that can go in my bowl. Okay. So I'm filming on my phone, so it's going to be stop and start, and we'll see how we get on. Okay, so that's the onion chop. The next thing we're going to do is take your bowl with your onions in it, and we're going to add your mince. So this is the lean steak mince from Aldi's, 5% fat, $4.99 per sachet. That's a kilogram, that, so that will feed all of my lot, which is 7. So in there we're going to crush up an oxo cube. These are great. I don't know if you use them or not. If you don't, a little tip is if you break it up in the packet, you don't end up getting it all over your hands. Just like so. Okay. Don't want that there though. A little bit of Worcester sauce. Probably about a teaspoon I use roughly. Some herbs, mixed herbs. I'll probably use about 2 teaspoons. Generally I don't normally measure, I just do it by guesswork. But let's have a look. 1.5 teaspoons will be plenty, I think. Don't want it overpowering. And also, secret ingredient, one of my favourite spices, a little bit of ginger. So when I say a little bit, we're talking just a dash. You don't want to taste it, but it helps enhance the meat. So like that, there's hardly any in there, but it helps enhance the meat flavour. So we've got your mince, your onion, Worcester sauce and mixed herbs, not so cube. Also what I like to do with this one is I like to put a bit of cheese in mine. Yeah, if the video's not great, I do apologise, but it's all new. So on this one I'm grating on the finest grate. That'll do. Because it goes further and it mixes in better as well. I'm going to put the cheese off to one side for now. So what we're going to do is just get your hands right in there, give it a good old mix. Make sure that oxo cube's all mixed up in there properly. All the onions and everything's all mixed in there. Using your hands is best for this bit because you can get it all mixed in. If you use a spoon, you can do it. It'll probably take a bit longer, and I don't know if it mixes as well, to be fair. So it's all nicely mixed there now. So what I've got to do now is we need something to bind it. So I'm going to chuck in an egg and some flour, and this will probably make me about 40 odd meatballs, 45 meatballs, and they're great. So they take 10-12 minutes in the oven to cook out. So you want your egg beaten. Alright, so beat your egg, and I'll chuck some black pepper in there as well. Okay, my new pepper mill. Hopefully I don't drop this one. I don't intend to put salt into anything because the oxo cubes are quite salty anyway, and I just don't see the need for it. I've never really used salt in my food. So egg goes in, give that a good old mix up. That'll all get absorbed by the meat there. Okay, so once it's all pretty much mixed in, you get your flour, and I'll probably use 2 or 3 tablespoons. You'll be able to see when it's right anyway, because it'll be a bit drier and it shouldn't be too sticky. And then when you get to that point, I intend to add my cheese. Mix all that in. Because I do use grated cheese on top to put on at the end as well. So in effect, this meal costs for about £7.50 to cook. If that. I mean, the most expensive item obviously is the meat, which is £4.99 or £4.69 from Aldi's. I'm not sponsored by Aldi's or Lidl's, by the way. That's why I do my shopping, and I find the meat quite good quality most of the time. Ginger, all the herbs in Aldi's 50p, 40p each, and they last for ages. Oxo cubes, £1 for a dozen, so it's quite a cheap meal really. Eggs, again, in Aldi's you get 15 eggs for like £1.50, so it's about 10p an egg. So what's that? £6 and 50p for the pasta. So £6.50 for a meal for 7 or 8 people. I don't think that's too bad at all. So it's all coming together nicely now. It's not sticking too much, which is good. Okay. Yeah. So the next bit, once you wash it out obviously, is get a baking tray and line it with some grease paper. That helps, well, my trays ain't in great state anyway to be fair, but it also helps with stop sticking. I don't tend to use garlic in the meatballs because then it to me goes more bolognese, which I've gone right off bolognese. We used to have it a lot and it just kills me after a while. So I've got my tray pre-lined here. If it is still a bit wet, you can always add a bit more flour, but if you add too much it gets really sticky. So that kind of size, and I'll get quite a few of them. So I'm going to pause the video and come back when I'm done, because you've okay, so out of all that meat I've got about 7, 14, 21, 28, 42, 43 meatballs. So for my family of 7, that's quite good, but obviously you can stretch it, make them smaller, make them bigger, use less, then it'll be cheaper. So that's that done. I'm going to put them to one side just once I start on the sauce base. Okay, so for this we're going to be using a thick base saucepan. Okay, so what you want is the 1 pepper at the half of the onion that we'd already started using earlier, and if you do the same thing again, remember to just take off the tail, and that will stop it affecting your eyes as much. So it took me years to figure that out. Okay, So I've got one extra onion and a half that I've left. I'm going to make these a bit chunkier. I'm cutting the same way. Okay, so that's the onions done. Now, pepper. So, I mean, there's loads of ways of doing pepper. I just like to take the bits off, because you don't want the white pith bit that's on the roots. That's quite bitter. So, I'll just do that. Just cut off the bits I want, and that leaves me with just little bits that I can get rid of. So, same thing again, I'm cutting similar sort of size as my onions, not the tomatoes, the onions. If you have a really sharp knife, it makes cutting the peppers so much easier. Otherwise it just moves them if it's too blunt. Or serrated knives are also good. If I feel like I need some lift music or something to fill up the space I'm talking. So I'm filming all this on my phone. I don't know if I've already said that, I quite possibly have. My memory's not as good as it used to be. It's never been that good in the first place, to be fair at all. So, yeah, so, yeah. But I cook quite regularly, and I thought it'd just be nice to share it with everyone. If there's any specific meals you'd like to find little cheapy hacks, like little hacks on. So I've got my fry light, so I'm going to put 8 or 9 sprays into my pan, and I'm going to have it on about a medium-ish heat. Okay. So once that melts, I'll chuck my onions in and my peppers. I've also got to make a little bit of stock up. There's my basic stock up. You don't need massive amounts, but they don't tend to work as well with chicken and vegetable stock cubes, but for the beef ones it works pretty much every time. But again, if you want to reduce the salt, you can get reduced salt oxo cubes, or you can bouillon like knorr. But I pretty much get everything. There's some things I get from Sainsbury's or Tesco's if all these others don't have it. They sometimes have a massive herb selection, but generally I get most herbs from there. If you get their own brands as well, it's about 80p in Tesco's or Sainsbury's. The Shorts ones are a bit more expensive. Well, so that's still heating. Whilst that's heating up, what we can do is get that oven heated to about 180 degrees. Get the water on to boil for the pasta. Again, if you want to make this less gluten, take the flour out, then you can always use rice flour or rice pasta. But I don't need to worry about gluten-free for my family, so whilst that's heating up, make the stock up. You only need about 300 ml of stock, half a pint. This just helps reduce, stop the sauce being so thick, because passata is quite thick, and with tomatoes as well, they're quite thick. So we're cooking quite nicely there. So what I could do actually is put it on that one. So you want to cook this not so it softens. It's also known as sweating. Using fry light's totally different to using oil. it absorbs it quite quick, especially doing mushrooms and stuff like that. I do like red peppers because they're quite sweet, and in certain sauces it can give it a pink tinge. So I also chuck in some mixed herbs in that. If you want to give it a bit of a kick, you can always add chili flakes. Probably about a tablespoon of mixed herbs, or 2 teaspoons, sorry, that'll do. Don't need massive amounts. And a little bit of oregano, about half a teaspoon. Again, I'll stay away from the garlic because it reminds me too much of bolognese. It's sizzling away nicely. So once that's sweated down and the onions have gone quite clear, see-through, translucent, it's a big word for this time of the day, translucent, then you can add a little bit of flour. Don't need massive amounts, it just makes it help thicken the sauce. Gives it a bit of body. But I try and make my meals as healthy as possible. Like watching water boil. Takes longer when you're watching it. Sizzling away. So in a minute, that won't take too long. This meal generally takes me about 30 minutes to cook, 40 minutes from start to finish. But then, if you've got any suggestions or hints or tips, obviously, like I said, I'm filming off my mobile phone, so the angles aren't going to be too great. I may invest in, if this channel works out, I may invest in a camera that will do something a bit better, I don't know. But there we have it. It's got a lovely smell. Those mixed herbs are really infusing the onions and peppers there. Nearly there, not quite. I mean, ideally, the way to sweat, you can just put a bit of fry light in there, put a lid on it, on a medium heat, and that'll eventually just sweat with its own steam and that. But it adds more washing up as well. So it starts getting a little bit too dry, just a few more squirts of fry light. I may do another recipe today. This is my first two to the launch, shall we say. I might do a chocolate marble cake. I think my daughter wants to go for that, so that'll be interesting, but we'll see. Okay, so it's going there now, the onions are going a bit clearer. Give it enough minute or so and that will do. So what we're going to do is put in a little bit of flour, and that will make like a kind of base for the sauce. For people who've got fussy families who don't like lumpy bits, and like my child doesn't like to see peppers and onions and things, so if we tell her it's like tomato sauce, we'll just split it. There we go. So when it's got that kind of colour and softness, then you're good to go for the next bit. So just take it off the heat when you add your flour, and you don't need a lot, probably about a tablespoon, and then it'll go all breadcrumby. And you want to make sure that's all mixed in. It'll start clumping, which is good because when the heat hits with the water, it helps thicken. Okay, so in goes my chopped tomatoes. You can use a little bit of stock just to get the last little bits out if you want to. In goes my tomato passata. Okay. Okay, so you want to turn the heat up now to high till it starts boiling, but just keep stirring it so it doesn't burn. Okay, so see how thick that is. I'm going to add my stock now, which will thin it out, and as that heats up and boils, that will thicken up again. So when I've sweated the onions off with the herbs, that should have flavoured the onions and peppers. So I have a little taste just to see how it's getting on. Yeah, you can really taste that coming through with the mixed herbs, so it's alright. So the sauce will probably take 5 minutes to thicken up once it starts boiling. It don't take long. By which point I'll be able to get the pasta in and my meatballs in. The meatballs only take about 12 minutes to cook, so. Right, we need to boil now, so it's beginning to thicken up. And keep it moving. Once it does start boiling, just turn it down so it just simmers nicely. Nah, what white top, terrible top to use. Don't think that one through very well. Again, if you want kick, a bit more kick to it, you can always add a bit of chilli powder or chilli flakes, or you could make it into a barbecue sauce if you prefer. But I'm just doing a basic, straightforward tomato. There we go, beginning to thicken up now. Get a bit of black pepper in there. Just to whatever you really like. It's good. Okay, so that's pretty much it really. So the meatballs take about 12 to 14 minutes. If you're not sure when they are out, just cut one in half, it will be red. Pasta takes about 12 minutes, and I'll show you when it's all done. So all done. We've got meatballs for. So there we are. And then the last. That's it, finished. One thing I forgot to mention though is if you find the sauce a bit too tart, I put in 2 tablets of sweetener and a little bit of Worcester sauce. Bon appetit everyone, hope you've enjoyed it. Send us a like, review, share, subscribe. Cheers!